We're live. Okay, let me get my agenda here. All right, I am calling to order the July 2nd, 2020 meeting of the Flint Historic District Commission. The notice I got said it's a special meeting. This is our regular meeting time, but I think because we're meeting electronically, maybe that makes it a special meeting. So first thing on the agenda would be the roll call.
Okay, and I will be filling Bill's role this evening. So for roll call, Commissioner Bernash.
Here.
Commissioner Hurley.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
And Commissioner Wright will be hopefully joining us soon. Commissioner Niswander.
Here.
And Commissioner Shapani.
Here.
Okay, next item on the agenda is additions or changes to the agenda. We did get, I believe, an updated agenda emailed to us. I think it was yesterday. Correct. Which deals with the electronic and telephonic participation.
So just to make sure that commissioners are looking at the right agenda, Bill sent this at 4:28 yesterday.
Yep. I did get that.
Okay. Doesn't look like there is any discussion on the matter. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
Yeah, I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
I can second that.
Been motioned and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is adopted. Next on the agenda is minutes from the previous meeting and disposal. Everybody would like to take a second and review those.
Making a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there support?
Commissioner Davis, support.
Alrighty, there's a motion on the floor. It's been supported to adopt the minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And the minutes from May 14th, 2020 are adopted. Hearing from the public. This is the time when anyone that might be listening would like to make a comment, any kind of public comment, who is not an applicant. If your comment is regarding the application that is on the agenda, this would not be the time to speak. So if anybody has anything to say other than what is already on the agenda, now would be the time to speak. And hearing nothing, we can move on to these certificates of appropriateness and notice to proceed. First applicant item on the agenda is Brett Crandall, who is also the property owner. The address is 315 West 4th Avenue. Is there anyone here to present on this application?
Brett Crandall's here.
Okay. Usually how we do this when we're all together in the same room together is the applicant kind of just stands up and just explains the project, and then we kind of review the documents, and then we just kind of shoot questions at you. So I don't know if you want to kind of just give us sort of a brief narrative on what you plan on doing?
Yep, sure. So I recently purchased 315 West 4th from the land bank. And obviously, as you can see, it has been in pretty rough shape for quite some time and has been modified over the years. Earlier this year, I wasn't in attendance in the meeting because I was on vacation, but I got approval for a roof. We are working on that currently, getting any structural repair due to rotted wood performed, and the roof replacement will be going on shortly. But our goal with the current certificate of appropriateness that I'm attempting to achieve here is the front porch. Obviously, if you look at the current photos that I presented of the front porch, somebody did a lot of brickwork. They must have had a lot of bricks laying around, but did some brickwork on the front porch and some kind of a flower bed type of design, and a side porch that leads to the side door, with an aluminum awning above that, above the flower bed section. So what I am trying to do is remove the current concrete and brick porches from the house, remove the aluminum awning from the house, and build an all wooden structure on the front that would wrap around instead of having that flower bed in place, or whatever you want to call it, the brick through the middle and the aluminum awning. I would like to replace that with a completely wooden porch, similar to I believe it's the 4th photo that I presented, that I just kind of did just kind of a mock-up drawing of, just displaying my intentions to have the same roof lines that are currently there with the porches that are in place, just kind of carrying those roof lines around the home and adding typical porch columns and typical porch railings in place. And there'd be wooden stairs built on the front and the side to replace the current concrete stairs. So like I said, dimensions will match the current structure that is in place, to kind of give it some continuity to what's there. All building materials would be wooden, including the posts going in the ground, the decking, the poles, the railings, and the structure for the covering and the roof. Obviously, the roof would be asphalt to match the remainder of the roof on the house. Square wooden columns, I added a couple of photos near the end. Well, actually, before I jump to that, the next photo that I have in my little deck there is just a home around the corner that is on 622 Mason. I wanted to try and replicate something that was more original in the neighborhood, although it won't be identical to that. The home structure of 315 West 4th and 622, they're not identical, but very close as far as a front shape. So I felt that it was kind of prudent to add that photo in there, just kind of give you an idea of what we're looking to do, just kind of imitate that. The doors are very much in the same place on both of those homes, with the front and the side door, and the front structure is very similar as well. So we're just coming close to imitating that, and creating that wraparound porch from the front and the side doors. As far as railings, I just included a picture from something else from the neighborhood, with just fairly simple square spindles, some decorative balls on the stairs, and just relatively, again, simple railing construction, but all wooden. And then I added a couple of photos for the ceiling of the porch, which would be time appropriate, with the beadboard, all wooden materials going up there. And then again, with the porch column example, just a square porch column, with obviously that particular example that I provided doesn't have railings built in between the columns, but mine would have the railings in between the columns. And I think that sums up my side of it. I am definitely open to any specific questions you might have.
The flooring on the porch, will that be like treated wood or like finished flooring, or what will that look like?
I believe it would just be wooden decking boards. So yes, it would be treated wood. I don't know, since I'm not a contractor, I don't know if that's code, if that's mandatory to be code treated wood or not. But similar decking material to what you see out there on most porches, most new build porches.
So in a little I did some digging on the history of the house this week and talked to my neighbor Nancy, and because I'm trying to figure out what was there, and because you could tell by the brick that it wasn't. So the story behind it, I don't know if Brett knows or not, but so the guy that owned this in the late 80s, early 90s was a builder, and he got a bunch of free brick left over and went to the Historic District Commission to get approval. They did not approve it. So on one weekend, he tore the old porch down and put this up. And so that's how this porch came to be. I was kind of curious if my neighbor knew what was Nancy, which has been here for years, knew what was there because it's right across the street from my house. She couldn't remember what was there because it was pretty much rotted out. But that's how this porch came to be there. But my other question would be, now the spindles, the height of the railing, is that going to be all up to code?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything will be permitted and inspected to code.
And what about stairs? I don't see stairs in the drawing. Steps.
It'll just be similar. Yeah, I didn't include those in my little rendition there, but it'd be similar to the stairs that I have the photograph of, just wooden deck boards, similar to what the porch decking will be made out of.
Oh, did you mention what colors were you going to paint the wood or not paint the wood?
It will most likely just be white to match the trim of the house.
Okay.
So all the trim around the windows and the trim around the edging of the roof will all be white on this house. So.
Okay. Cool. You're on mute, Heather.
Okay. So you're not going to do anything to the front of the house where the porch is, like the front wall of the house,
No.
the windows, the clapboard, anything? We're just talking about the porch right now.
Correct. Yep. Everything about the remainder of the structure will remain the same. It'll just be the current concrete front porches, which is not a part of the foundation. All the rest of the foundation is all old original stone from the late 1800s. So just the concrete will be removed, brick will be removed, and that aluminum awning will be removed. The current porches that are there right now, the wooden portions are in such bad shape that they will need to be removed, but they will be, like I said, they'll be rebuilt very close to current dimensions. But as far as the actual structure of the house, the windows,
And then
anything
did
like
you
that,
say-
no. What was
Did
that?
you
I'm
say
sorry.
where the steps would be located? Did you
Pretty
say
much where they are
where
right
the
now.
steps would be located?
Pretty much where they
Okay.
are right now. So you'd have a front door that's going to be the main door getting in, and then the side door comes off of one of the bedrooms on the first floor. So there'll be steps very much in the same. If they do vary from where they currently are, it will be minimal.
Okay. And then, so it looks like it's sort of like a stoop where the steps go now. And so will that slope of the roof remain the same, and then it'll just be extended and wrapped around where the awning is?
Yeah, yep, that you pretty much got it summed up right there. So the current roof line will just follow around the house and replace that aluminum
Wrap
awning.
around. So it'll be
Yep.
higher up than what the awning, where the awning is located now.
Yeah, probably a foot
Line
or
up
so,
with-
whatever.
With the roof.
Right. And then both roof lines, because I think there's a slight variance between the front porch roof line and the side porch roof line. So we'll get those in alignment as well. So it follows the same line around the front and the side of the house. That's why I say dimensions won't be exactly identical, but they'll be extremely close to what is currently there.
It brings up an interesting question, because now it appears that, it appears that where the metal awning is, there actually was no, so that flower bed was not in replace of something else. So this new wraparound porch would actually not be reverting the house back to what was originally there. I think it appears that there was not a porch, just a front entry and a side entry, which kind of makes sense for the style of the building. So we're kind of looking at, the removal of something that was not contributing, and then the addition of something new and a modification. So I don't know if that's a deal breaker or not. It's just something to consider.
Yeah, it's really hard to say what was there originally. Based on the structure of what I see up underneath that awning, there is remnants of the current structure having somewhat of an overhang, to me, resembling what once was a structure there. But again, going back in time and determining exactly what was there is hard to tell. Like on the corners, if you look, the second floor is squared off on the corner, the corner of the house there, and then the corner next to the front porch. Those are squared off, but the second floor is not. They are both diagonal angles there. They don't come to a square point following the upper floor. So there is definitely something there. I shouldn't say definitely. Obviously, I can't say 100%, but just based on my experience, there was something there in the past. Exactly what it looked like, hard to say. Trying to see. Yeah, it's similar in fashion to the example that I provided in 622 Mason, where the upper floor is squared off on both corners, but underneath that, where underneath the porch, both of those corners are diagonaled. So I don't think they would have built that house with that second floor jutting over the first floor on the corners. It just seemed like it'd be very out of place and unsupported. Again, I don't.
Sorry, I
Go ahead.
didn't interrupt.
Go ahead. No, you're fine.
No, I mean, there probably would have been, it's like a Victorian era style house. So, I mean, they're historically fairly plain of buildings. They weren't very ornate. I mean, if anything, it would have had maybe some wood bracketing detail I mean, it doesn't necessarily structurally support the corner. It's just there for really an aesthetic to show a
Right.
finished corner. But I mean, the way looking at the pictures, though, that brick planter, actually, if you remove that, there was no porch there before. So, we're looking at removing the planter and then replacing it. And basically creating a new addition to an existing historic building.
Well, how would you know that there wasn't something there before?
Well,
I'm just curious how you could tell.
the way I'm looking at it is, there's the clues that I'm using is that the two doorway entrances have their own roof, and their foundation is, raised up above grade, about 1.5 feet or so. And if there was a porch, that brick area where the planter would probably be at the same level. And then there would be, I mean, I would imagine because of the siding where it intersects with the roof of the entrances is whole. I mean, unless they found that actual siding with that much weathering to replace it, when they put in this new metal awning, right? For example, like you see how the porch roof comes in about halfway up the siding board. And I mean, obviously, this siding may or may not be original or not. It's hard to say from the pictures. It does look like
It's definitely not original. I've exposed there's original wood, like 4-inch siding underneath. This is very popular from the 50s and 60s. And in response to the awning is just sitting. The awning is not built into the siding. The awning is just sitting on top of the siding. It's very poorly mounted with just brackets up in there. So where it's following the siding line is difficult to make a judgment, because my guess is that siding was put on in the 50s. The awning and the porches is hard to tell when it came on. Obviously, Joe said the brickwork was done in the 80s or somewhere around there. My guess is the awning was somewhere in between, in the middle there. Those aluminum awnings were popular somewhere around in there, like 70s, 80s.
right.
So I think it was kind of it's hard to really judge where this package came from, but it was most likely hacked together over the years and not done all at one time.
So that second door that's like wrapped around on the left side of the house, just the fact that door is at an angle, like that never would have existed that way, sort of diagonal to the house. And it doesn't look like there's enough room for the door to be how it should be situated. If it were to have existed there 100 years ago, it looks like there needs to be more depth to that back end of the house that sticks out.
The one on Mason that has a door that's angled like that, it's a very similar, he showed that as an example, very similar house.
Yeah.
And the door angled like that also. I didn't realize how similar they were until I saw the photos together. And they're both right across the street from me. So I can actually see them right now looking out my window.
Another thing I can tell you about that door is the original stone foundation does follow that diagonal line of that of the home right there. So the original stone foundation it kind of follows the wall structure there on the left-hand side in the photo, but it does make a diagonal move inward to follow the rest of the home upward. So that doesn't prove that there was an original door there by any means, but it does prove that that original, that area being diagonally cut like that and cut in was definitely original to the structure. And based on the boards that are in there, because I have the interior pretty much gutted at this point, everything looks original in that corner. Everything looks very, has a lot of continuity with the other structure, the original components of the structure. It doesn't appear, at least anywhere in the near past, to have been manipulated to stick a door in there.
I think the idea to have the spindles and the columns and just be simple and plain and square, I think that sort of goes with the understated sort of plainer style of the house, not overly ornate.
I agree. And I'm glad you feel that way, because I was wondering if I was going to get asked to do something a little bit more ornate, and I was going to have to say, but the house is kind of simple. So I'm glad you see that as well. That's,
yeah.
I agree too. Some simple columns and some simple railings, I think, fit the simple nature of the house. But at the same time, the house has very nice curves to it. If you look at the front and the side gable ends, they have just enough of a little bit of a curve to them that is not straight and modern looking and simple. There's some nice complexity, even though they're very simple and subtle.
Is there a plan for like the skirting underneath, like lattice or, any board work to cover up like under the porch?
Would be, yeah, and I apologize for not including a photo of that. That slipped in my mind. But the majority of the homes with raised porches like that in the area just have vertical slat boards. So I would probably replicate something like that that just has vertical slats that are, just wood vertical slats, a horizontal at the top and the bottom, and then just like 2 to 3 inch vertical wooden slats to fill the void between the decking material and the ground.
Okay. Any eaves troughs, downspouts, anything going on, or is that a later project?
Yeah, that'll be later. As of right now, we're just trying to get the thing solid and secure and get a roof on it. So I'm sure I'm going to have to put eaves trough on the rear of the home and most likely on the front porch as well. But yeah, I will be back for further approval on that.
So is there going to be like a second entrance, second steps back where that second door is, or no?
Yes. So there's currently a sidewalk that goes back there, as you can see from from a couple of the pictures. So it'll just go out to that sidewalk. And there's a sidewalk in the front. I know you can't really see it from the photos, but there's a sidewalk
So
that's
the
very
cement
similar
steps
to
will
the
be
side.
gone, and you're going to have wooden steps.
Yep. So there'll be wooden steps coming off the side to match the current concrete sidewalk there, and then same on the front, matching on the front to go out to the sidewalk leading to the front porch.
And we can keep talking about it, but I'd like to get a motion out there. So I move that we accept the application as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion with support. Is there any further discussion?
For the porch,
For the porch.
this is Stephanie. Is this for the approval for the porch?
Yes, Stephanie. We've been talking about it for a while, and I think we just had a motion. So there's a motion and support to accept the project as presented.
Okay, I'll second it. I looked at the pictures and what was detailed on the attachment. I'm okay with it.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, if we could have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Bernash,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Neiswender,
Yes.
and Commissioner Shapani.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. So normally we would have the certificate of appropriateness right at the meeting. I would sign it and hand it to you. And then we would run a copy over to the building department the next day, so they would have their copy too. I normally, now the new normal, I would go to City Hall tomorrow. I'm not sure if City Hall is open tomorrow. Kelly, do you know?
No, the building is likely closed. It's been closed regularly, but tomorrow is the government holiday for the 4th of July, so I don't think anyone would be
Government.
there.
Okay. Okay, because
Probably-
normally Bill would meet me at the back door and just have me
Right.
sign whatever. So if nobody will be there, how about, are they closed also Monday for the holiday?
I don't know if Bill's gonna be here on Monday, KZ.
No,
he'll be here
it is an
Tuesday.
MDO day.
Yeah,
So Tuesday might be the soonest I would be able to sign the certificate of appropriateness, the couple copies. We'll get it over to the building department. As soon as I sign it, Bill will let you know, Mr. Crandall, and you can come pick it up, or he can drop it in the mail to you, whatever you'd like.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay, but I don't know that you would want to. Okay, next item on the agenda is old business, Capitol Theater signage.
okay, so I have discussed this with Mike, and he's prepared to issue the citations that we discussed at the last meeting. We just wanted to get together one last time to make sure that we were all on the same page with the exact violation and the ordinance code that we're going to use, and to allow some additional time to ensure that these businesses are open, that someone's there. But then we'll be good to go with those. So I would imagine next week or the week after is when these would be issued to the businesses.
Sounds good, because I think they're open as far as I know.
Okay.
Bedrock is a store, so they didn't fall under the new executive order to close, and the other place, Everson, has an outdoor patio and they serve food and arcade games, so
Okay.
don't think they closed either.
Okay. And Mike was out Tuesday for the rest of the week, so I'll get with him when he comes back and let him
And
know
then
that
there
he's
was-
got the green light.
Sure, and there was one more too. I don't know what it's called, some fashion place that has decals in the window beside Bedrock.
Okay, so there are 3 of them.
I believe so, yeah. The optical place came before us.
Right.
And got approval for a modified sign, but they haven't put the modified sign, they haven't put any sign up yet. They're not in violation.
But I thought one of us, I thought in the one meeting though, Heather, that somebody was gonna look at what the modification was, but we agreed that all of us didn't have to look at it for them, it was
Yeah.
kind of to understand. Okay, all right.
And the owner called me to get clarification, because it was his mother that appeared at the meeting, not him, because it was the same time as their grand opening. So I kind of went through the meeting and told him, what we had decided, so he understands what we were expecting. But I don't know if they just didn't do it, or I don't know, there's no sign up still, they haven't put it up. So.
And that was the one where they had already manufactured the sign, and the commissioners recommended that it be like one thing that was one fixture that was attached that you could remove the sign and put a different one on, and they
Different
agreed to
businesses
that,
came
right?
To kind of mimic the one that's already there at Shift that was made before they had approval. So now that we're stuck with that design, we're like, everybody, and it was actually Commissioner Shahani's idea, I think that they should all sort of have uniform sort of style or shape and color. And then you can just, change out the hanging signs as businesses come and go.
Well, we'll keep an
So,
eye
yeah,
on that one.
Yeah, so they're not in violation yet. They haven't put up the original sign they had made.
Casey, I don't know if it would come through you, but have there been any communications with you or Bill as far as like from the applicant?
No, I haven't heard anything about it.
Okay. So it sounds good. I think we're all ready to proceed with the ticket.
All right.
Those businesses, they've all been notified several times. Saginaw Street Bricks.
So I emailed Betty Weidman, who works in transportation for DPW. She was the one who appeared on behalf of the applicant 2 years ago. I emailed her and John Daly, who's also in transportation for DPW. And I emailed them the day after our last meeting in May, and then sent a follow-up email yesterday, but haven't heard anything. So I don't know what their status is as far as working remotely. City Hall is still closed to the public. So once it reopens, then I'll try contacting them by phone or in person and try to get some kind of communication going with the commission and somebody who can speak on behalf of the downtown project.
Sure. And I did, to follow up with Commissioner Davis, I did speak with Greg Fiedler from the Greater Flint Arts Council. And he relayed to me that consumers came and talked to him in January and said the Saginaw Street project was going to be happening this summer. All of Saginaw Street was going to be tore up. All the plans were already a go, and that they had already been hired to do their part of it. And this guy was just going around letting all the businesses know what was going to be happening. Saginaw Street would be all tore up this summer. Like contractors have already been retained and whatnot. I'm assuming in March when COVID hit that put the kibosh on the plans for this summer because nothing has happened yet. But yeah, it sounds like from what consumers told Greater Flint Arts Council on Saginaw Street that there is a plan and it is moving forward, and it was supposed to be happening now. So we haven't been involved or included in the plan thus far.
Yeah.
It's concerning.
Well, I'll keep trying and try to go through some other channels to get to them. But I know the concerns of the commission, and will relay those to the appropriate people as soon as I can, as soon as I can get somebody to respond to me.
Next item on the agenda, demolition blight policy.
Yeah, and I think that we kind of addressed this in previous meetings. I don't know if there was further discussion we wanted to have about it. But Bill and I have been brainstorming about ways to increase the communication between departments, particularly BSI or building and safety inspections, and have a better way of notifying the commission when a historic district resource is on the demolition list. So one thing that we're doing for marijuana licensing is creating a shared drive that's accessible for the relevant departments. So that's something that Bill and I can explore, and hopefully create a automatic mechanism for notifying the commission when a historic district resource is added to the demolition list.
Right. And that would, I mean, the way it was explained to me 15 years ago was somebody goes over to BSI to pull a demo permit, they give the address gets typed into the computer. And when the address comes up, if the address is in a historic district, it's red. Say like the whole list of addresses is blue or green or something. But if you're in a historic district, your line item, that whole address is highlighted somehow. So it's a different color. And that immediately, tells them, okay, I can't issue this demo permit. You've got to go talk to HDC first. So I don't know if just addresses aren't flagged appropriately, if they're not highlighted when they should be, which it probably does need to be updated since the boundaries of the district have changed in Carriagetown, things like that. Some districts that don't exist much anymore, like Manning Court. So probably the list needs to be updated, or if it was just a matter of whoever looked it up either didn't know or didn't care, to see the nuance and just issued the demo permit anyway. So that was my understanding of what's been going on.
Well, I will talk to Bill about that. I know that there's a program that they use in BSI, and I believe that planning staff has access to it as well, but I don't have it. I'm not familiar with it, so I'll ask him and see if something has changed, or if we need to hold some kind of training, like a refresher for different staff in BSI, so they know what to do when they see a different color or some sort of alert that it's in the historic district, and so that everyone knows what needs to be done when they see that.
Sure.
And like you said, that relates to updating the historic district resource list, which I think is also on the agenda for old business. So Bill and I are gonna, once City Hall reopens, we'll be sitting down together and updating the resource list. So my tentative plan is to cross-reference the current list with old meeting minutes, the report from the Carriagetown Review Commission that reduced the size of it and revised the boundaries. So the meeting minutes would help us see what demolitions were approved. And then if anybody else has any ideas, or if any of the commissioners want to join us, then that institutional knowledge might help. I don't know.
How far back are you gonna go?
Well, I don't know the last time that the resource list was revised.
I don't know that it hasn't been since I've been on here.
Okay. Well, that's our tentative plan. And so once we update the resource list, then we'll be able to update the ordinance, and that'll include the updated resource list. And then once the ordinance is updated, then Bill and I are going to create some new binders for all the commission members. So those binders would include an updated member roster, the new ordinance, the bylaws, and Secretary of Interior standards. So all those would be in fresh new binders for all the commissioners.
Oh,
Perfect.
thanks.
All of our contact information and everything. Fantastic. Okay. So I guess that was kind of, we were covering the ordinance, the legal description, boundaries, and other provisions to update. So we kind of just discussed everything all together. Is there anything else as far as old business?
Well, not old business, but I talked to, I was looking at walking when I was going for my walk, 401 West 2nd Avenue. There's like an illegal fence built in the middle of a driveway that is like not even up to code well enough historic code. I mean, just like someone put some rankedy 2x4s up and made a weird fence out of it.
Is it blocking the driveway off? Is that what they're trying to do?
The driveway.
It's like two separate driveways, and I'm sure one of them goes to a vacant lot, one of them goes to a house. They're two driveways that touch each other. So it's probably the owner of the vacant lot trying to keep the people with the house off of their driveway. And so it looks like a fence that would be used in a pasture or for farming. It's very rough, like literally 2x4s just hammered up
Yeah.
to divide this driveway in half.
What's the address for that?
401 West 2nd Avenue. The driveway is actually on Mason.
Okay.
But it
I'll
runs
see
the
if,
full length of the driveway, and yeah, it's like in the front yard, so it's visible from the sidewalk. It would be something we would discuss and approve.
I'll check with Mike and see if they've had any permits for fencing. So it could be potentially a violation for not coming before the Historic District Commission, and then also for doing it without a permit.
Fence
I
ordinance.
can't believe they'd have a permit for that.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. No other old business or new business. Hearing nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
Support?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All righty, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much for coming.
Have a good weekend,
Everyone
guys.
have a safe 4th of July.
You too.